The departure board flips to 5:32 p.m. as her voice slips through the roar of rolling suitcases and boarding calls. Is this seat taken? She stands beside gate C12 at Dallas Union Terminal. 10 years old. Too small for the oversized winter coat hanging off her shoulders. The carbon fiber brace beneath her jeans gives a faint mechanical click when she shifts her weight. One crutch tucked under her arm. A paper ticket clutched in her fist. The man in the aisle seat moves fast. Late 40s. Thick neck, unshaven. Heavy jacket zipped high though the terminal is warm. His palm slaps down on the empty chair before she can lower herself. It is now, he says, smiling without warmth. Across the aisle, Deputy Sheriff Daniel Mercer feels the subtle shift at his side. His German shepherd, Koda, lifts his head from a calm-down stay. No bark. No lunge. Just focused amber eyes locked on the man's hand as it inches toward the girl's wrist. Daniel notices the backpack blocking her exit. The man's knee angling inward. The way the girl freezes instead of stepping back. Boarding begins. People groan. Phones lift. No one intervenes. Then the man grabs her wrist. Koda's low, controlled growl cuts through the gate noise. If you were standing there, would you walk away? Or step in? Tell us below, and subscribe to Brave Canine Stories as this rescue unfolds. Daniel Mercer does not look like a man searching for trouble. Mid-30s. Clean cut. Plain tan uniform shirt with no outer vest. Badge clipped at the belt instead of displayed high. He is technically off-duty, returning to Collin County after a regional canine certification seminar, but he is still armed, still credentialed, and still very much a deputy sheriff. Koda sits pressed between Daniel's boots and the edge of the metal bench, spine straight, paws square. The black and tan German shepherd wears a marked sheriff canine vest, but he is relaxed, ears neutral, mouth slightly open, watching the world without reacting to it, until the girl speaks. Is this seat taken? Daniel's eyes move first. Koda's head lifts second. The man in the aisle seat blocks the chair instantly. His body angles inward, not outward. Subtle, intentional. Daniel says nothing yet. He studies. The girl, later he will learn her name is Lily Harper, keeps her weight mostly on her right leg. The prosthetic on the left is slightly misaligned at the knee joint. Not dangerous, but uncomfortable. The brace strap sits unevenly beneath the denim. There is a faint bruise near her wrist, yellowing at the edges, older than today. She holds her ticket envelope too tightly, crumpling the paper. No adult stands behind her. No luggage except a small blue duffel at her feet. The man smiles at her, but not kindly. You can sit here, he says, tapping the narrow space between himself and the wall. That position would trap her. Daniel lowers his voice. Watch. Koda's ears sharpen forward. His gaze fixes on the man's hands. The girl hesitates. She tries to maneuver herself toward the open chair, but the man slides his boot outward, blocking the easel. He reaches as if to guide her elbow. Easy. Daniel murmurs. Koda remains in a down stay, muscles coiled but disciplined. The boarding announcement crackles overhead. Flight to Atlanta now boarding Group 3. The crowd shifts impatiently. The man laughs. She's shy. My niece. No resemblance. Different hair color. Different features. No shared glance of familiarity. Daniel finally stands. Mom, he says gently to Lily, ignoring the man. You can take my seat. It is a simple offer. Neutral, non-accusatory. The man bristles. We're fine. Lily looks between them. Her lips part slightly, then close again. Daniel keeps his tone level. Do you know this man? It is not an aggressive question. It is not loud. But it lands. Lily freezes. Her eyes flick toward the man's face before she answers. That pause is too long. The man's hand closes around her elbow. Firmer now. She does. Come on, Lily. We're boarding. He says her name as if he owns it. Daniel's jaw tightens slightly. He had not heard the man ask her name before. How long have you been traveling today? Daniel asks, still calm. The man answers immediately. Since Tulsa. Lily does not nod. Koda shifts, ears flattening just slightly. A signal Daniel knows well. Elevated concern. The man tries to steer Lily toward the boarding line at gate C12. But Daniel notices something else. The boarding pass in the man's hand is folded differently from the one Lily clutches. Different color strip at the top. He does not comment yet. Instead, he steps forward, closing distance but not touching. Sir, Daniel says quietly, flashing his credential wallet just enough to be seen but not waved dramatically. Let's slow down a second. The man's grip tightens. Is there a problem? Officer, he asks, voice suddenly sharp. There is impatience in the crowd now. People watching. Phones lifting subtly. Daniel does not raise his voice. Just making sure everyone's where they're supposed to be. The boarding agent calls again for final passengers. The man leans closer to Lily's ear. Tell him I'm your uncle. Lily swallows. She does not speak. Koda rises smoothly to a stand on command without being told, reading the tension. His body positioned slightly forward, not aggressive, but present. The man starts guiding Lily toward the gate entrance anyway. Daniel steps into their path. And for the first time, Koda's ears flatten completely as the man's fingers dig into the child's arm. The warning phase is over. The tension shifts from quiet suspicion to open confrontation in seconds. The man straightens, squaring his shoulders like someone used to pushing through resistance. Carl Dempsey, he says sharply. I'm her legal guardian. He says it loud enough for the surrounding passengers to hear. Several heads turn fully now. A few phones rise higher. The boarding line stalls. Daniel keeps his posture relaxed, no hand near his weapon. No dramatic stance, just controlled presence. Legal guardian. Daniel repeats calmly. Then we won't have any trouble confirming that. Dempsey's mouth twists. What we won't have is some off-duty hero looking for trouble. He points directly at Daniel's belt badge. You board deputy. The tone is mocking. Designed for the audience. A woman near the gate whispers, just let them board. An airline attendant steps forward, polite but strained. Sir, we need to clear this area. We're holding the line. The pressure shifts subtly toward Daniel now. He feels it. The impatience. The discomfort of a delayed flight. Dempsey senses it too. He squeezes Lily's shoulder possessively. She has mobility issues. She falls without me. His eyes flick deliberately to her brace. Don't you, sweetheart? Lily lowers her gaze. It's okay, sir, she whispers to Daniel. Her voice is flat, not reassuring, not defensive, conditioned. Koda shifts beside Daniel. Sit. Daniel commands quietly. The German shepherd folds into a precise sit at Daniel's left side. Perfect posture. Head up. Eyes locked on Dempsey's hands. Dempsey glances down at the dog. Control your animal. Koda does not react. But when Dempsey casually swings his foot backward and brushes the edge of Koda's paw in what looks like an accidental kick, Daniel's voice hardens just slightly. Leave it. Koda does not even blink. Discipline holds. Daniel's focus returns to the boarding passes clutched in Dempsey's hand. That is when he notices it clearly. Dempsey holds 2 tickets. Lily's is partially visible beneath his thumb. The bold print at the top reads Hotel Anande. Dempsey's own ticket, folded differently, reads Parland. Different destinations. Daniel does not call it out yet. Instead, he asks Lily directly, where are you headed today? Dempsey answers for her instantly. Family visit. Daniel does not look at him. I asked her. Lily hesitates again. Her fingers tighten around her crutch handle. To my aunt's, she says quietly. In Portland, Dempsey adds quickly. Daniel's eyes drop briefly to the boarding passes again. Atlanta, Portland. 2 opposite directions. Around them, frustration grows. Are they boarding or not? Someone mutters. The airline agent clears her throat. Sir, if you are not traveling, I need you to step aside. Dempsey seizes that momentum. Exactly. He's interfering. He begins guiding Lily toward the gate scanner again, steering her with a hand at the small of her back. Too firm. Too controlled. Daniel steps in front of the scanner lane, blocking without touching. Sir, I need to see identification matching those tickets. Dempsey laughs loudly, playing to the cameras. You serious right now? A phone is inches away, filming. Daniel keeps his voice even. Yes. For a fraction of a second. Uncertainty flickers across Dempsey's face. Then it's gone. Fine. He snaps, flipping the boarding passes in his hand as if to present them. And that is when Daniel sees it clearly. Lily is not holding her own ticket. Dempsey is holding both. Control, isolation. Daniel subtly activates the body camera function on his department phone app, angling it naturally as if adjusting his grip. He steps closer under the pretense of inspecting the print. Click. A clear image of both boarding passes. Atlanta for Lily Harper. Portland for Carl Dempsey. The crowd does not notice the photograph. Dempsey does not notice the photograph. But Daniel does. And as Dempsey abruptly pivots, steering Lily away from the gate and toward the escalators instead of the boarding lane, Daniel understands something critical. They were never getting on that flight. Carl Dempsey does not head toward the boarding scanner again. He pivots sharply and guides Lily away from the gate entirely, not toward another airline counter, not toward customer service, toward the escalators leading down to baggage claim and the short-term parking garage. Daniel does not rush. He gives them distance, 10 paces, enough not to escalate, close enough not to lose them. Koda, heel. The German Shepherd moves into tight position at Daniel's left leg, shoulder aligned with his knee. Colin, watching. The escalator hums beneath the weight of travelers. Dempsey places himself directly behind Lily as they descend, one hand hovering too close to her lower back. Daniel watches carefully. Lily adjusts her crutch awkwardly as the moving stairs flatten out. Her brace catches slightly on the metal lip at the bottom. She stumbles forward half a step. Dempsey grabs her upper arm hard. She winces. That reaction is small, almost invisible to anyone not looking for it. Daniel sees it. He pulls his phone discreetly from his pocket and taps the non-emergency dispatch line on speed dial. Collin County Off-Duty Deputy, Daniel Mercer. He says quietly, voice low and steady. Currently at Dallas Union Terminal, logging suspicious adult male with minor. Possible custodial interference. I'm following at distance. Dispatch acknowledges. Time stamped. Recorded. Daniel glances up at the overhead signage. 5:38 p.m. He notes it verbally for the record. Subject diverted from gate C12. Now heading toward parking level 2. Everything captured. Dempsey moves quickly now. The earlier public performance is gone. No smiles, no mockery. Just urgency. Daniel shortens the distance slightly as they enter the parking garage. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead. Concrete pillars cast long shadows. Koda watch. The shepherd's ears angle forward. Daniel closes in enough to speak without shouting. Lily, he calls evenly. Where are you headed today? The question sounds casual, almost friendly. Dempsey answers instantly. We told you. Daniel ignores him. Lily turns her head slightly. To my aunt's in Georgia. Her voice is barely above a whisper. Dempsey's grip tightens. Portland. He snaps sharply. Visiting my sister. The contradiction hangs in the stale garage air. Daniel does not react outwardly, but his body camera is still recording. Every word, every pause. They reach a dark gray SUV parked near a support column. The rear windows are tinted heavily. The license plate has a frame that partially obscures the state name. Dempsey unlocks it quickly with a key fob and opens the rear passenger door. Get in, he says. Lily hesitates. The ramp slope near the parking space is uneven. As she shifts her weight to step down, her prosthetic catches again on the incline. She loses balance for a second time. Dempsey grabs her, but not gently. She flinches. Careful, Daniel says, stepping closer now. Dempsey shoots him a glare. Back off. Koda, easy. The shepherd remains still, no growl, no movement. But his eyes are fixed on the SUV. Daniel studies the vehicle casually, as if assessing nothing more than parking etiquette. But he notes details. The rear door interior handle looks scratched. As if from repeated force, there is a faint chemical smell drifting from inside, stronger than typical car cleaner, sharp, artificial. Daniel shifts slightly closer under the pretense of giving Lily space. Koda check. The command is subtle. The German shepherd lowers his nose and inhales near the rear door seam. His posture stiffens almost imperceptibly. Then, without barking, Koda's hackles lift slightly along his spine. He pauses, sniffs again. Something inside that vehicle does not belong. And Daniel understands that whatever flight Lily was supposed to board today, she was never meant to reach it. The air inside the parking garage feels tighter now. Carl Dempsey's confidence shifts from mockery to calculation. He steps away from the SUV just enough to pull out his phone. His thumb moves quickly across the screen. Then he lifts it halfway toward Daniel. I already told you, he says loudly, performing again. I'm transporting her for child services. You want to make this a federal problem? He angles the phone screen outward for less than a second. There is a document open. A seal at the top. A name, but no raised badge, no official identification card. Just a scanned image. Too quick, too rehearsed. Daniel does not lean in. Who's your contact? He asks evenly. Dempsey taps the screen and lifts it to his ear. Yeah, he says into the phone. We've got an off-duty deputy harassing a state-supervised transfer. His voice carries. The accusation is deliberate. At the far end of the garage row, 2 parking security officers begin walking toward them. Reflective vests, unsure expressions. Dempsey points at Daniel. That's him. He's interfering with custody. The pressure returns. Public place. Accusation. Authority conflict. Daniel does not raise his voice. Koda, stand. The German Shepherd rises smoothly from heel and steps forward, positioning his body between Lily and Dempsey without making contact. Not aggressive. Just present. Blocking access, Lily's breathing becomes uneven. Quick. Shallow. Please, she whispers, not to Dempsey, not to Daniel. Just into the air. Please don't make it worse. That sentence lands harder than any insult. Dempsey grips her upper arm again, attempting to pull her around Koda. The Shepherd emits a low rumble, one controlled warning growl, deep and steady. Not explosive. Enough. Dempsey jerks his hand back reflexively. Control your dog. He snaps. He is controlled, Daniel replies. The two parking security officers approach cautiously. What's going on here? One asks. Dempsey answers immediately. This deputy is interfering with an authorized child services transport. Daniel keeps his tone neutral. I'm verifying guardianship and destination discrepancy. Security looks between them, uncertain. Dempsey gestures toward Lily's brace. She has medical needs. We need to move. Lily's fingers tighten around her crutch handle again. Her eyes are fixed on the concrete floor. Daniel's gaze shifts briefly to the rear of the SUV. The license plate frame partially covers the state name. The temporary tag sticker in the corner is faded. Expired by at least 2 months. Another detail. Another layer. He says it calmly. Your temporary tag is expired. Dempsey's jaw tightens. That's irrelevant. It's not. Daniel answers quietly. Security shifts uneasily. Sir, one guard says to Daniel, if there's a custody matter, we can't hold them without cause. I've logged the interaction with dispatch. Daniel replies. We're waiting on verification. Dempsey raises his voice again, angling toward the garage cameras. You're gonna cost this child replacement because of your ego. Lily sways slightly. Koda, Daniel says softly. The Shepherd leans back just enough to brush Lily's real leg gently with his shoulder. Grounding pressure. Familiar training. Her breathing slows a fraction. Dempsey's phone call grows louder. Yes, he's obstructing. Yes. We're at parking level 2. Daniel's phone vibrates against his palm. Dispatch returning. He answers without breaking eye contact. Go ahead. The voice on the other end is clear. No record of scheduled child services transport matching that name or minor description. No active custody transfer logged through state system. Silence settles between the 4 adults. Dempsey lowers his phone slowly. And for the first time since this began, he does not have a ready answer. Part 5 midpoint twist. Approximately 670 words. Daniel keeps his phone at his ear a second longer. Run full history on Carl Dempsey, he says quietly. Out of state as well. There is a pause while dispatch types. Dempsey folds his arms now, regaining composure. He looks almost bored again. The earlier crack in his confidence seals over. The reply comes back. Subject shows prior arrest in Nevada for custodial interference involving a minor female. Case dismissed. Lack of cooperative witness. The words settle heavily. Not convicted but not clean. Daniel does not announce it publicly. He stores it. Dempsey watches Daniel's face carefully, reading it. Then, with a sharp exhale, Dempsey reaches into the SUV and pulls out a manila folder. If you're done fishing, he says loudly. Air. He flips it open and produces a photocopied document. Guardianship transfer authorization. Stamped, signed, notarized, at least on paper. He holds it toward the parking security officers first, not Daniel. Temporary legal guardianship granted pending relocation. He reads confidently. Signed by her mother. The security guards lean in. The document looks official. There is a raised seal printed in gray ink. Type names. Signatures. Daniel takes the paper carefully. The formatting is correct. The language is precise. But it is a photocopy, not an original. Original copy? Daniel asks. This is what was provided. Dempsey replies smoothly. One of the security guards shifts his stance. Deputy, he says cautiously. If he has paperwork. We can't detain without probable cause. Dempsey steps closer to Lily again, hand resting lightly on her shoulder like a demonstration of normalcy. Tell them. He prompts softly. Tell them I'm your uncle. Lily's eyes stay on the ground. Lily, Daniel says gently. Look at me. She doesn't. Is this your uncle? A long pause. Her breathing changes again, faster. Shallow, yes, she whispers. The word is barely audible. But it is there. Dempsey's mouth curves slightly. Security straightens. There it is, Dempsey says. We're done here. Daniel feels the shift. Without a cooperating witness, without immediate physical evidence, the ground under him softens. The security supervisor arrives at that moment. Older. More authoritative. What's the issue? Paperwork is shown. Voices overlap. The supervisor turns to Daniel. Deputy, unless you're making an arrest, I'm going to ask you to disengage. We can't delay a lawful guardian. The threat is subtle but clear. Leave or risk a formal complaint. Daniel weighs it. If he steps back now, Dempsey drives away. If he pushes without enough, he risks losing legal ground. Koda shifts beside him. Without command, the shepherd steps slightly closer to Lily. Then, gently, he nudges her real leg with his nose. Not the prosthetic, the living limb. Lily's fingers drop instinctively into Koda's fur. She grips tight. And for the first time, she does not let go immediately. That instinctive reach tells Daniel more than the whispered yes. Something is wrong. And time is running out. Part 6 Pressure Cooker. Approximately 660 words. The supervisor gestures for Daniel to step aside. Let's cool this down, he says quietly. Daniel moves several feet back but does not leave. Dempsey wastes no time. He opens the rear passenger door of the SUV fully now. Inside, he says to Lily. She hesitates only half a second this time. Security watches but does not intervene. Daniel's mind runs fast. No active warrant. No direct accusation from the child. Paperwork presented. He has suspicion. He needs confirmation. Koda, Daniel says quietly. Track. The command is deliberate. He kneels briefly beside Lily under the pretense of adjusting space. Hold still, he says gently. Koda lowers his head and inhales near Lily's sleeve. A controlled scent acquisition. Legal, non-invasive. The shepherd memorizes. Then Daniel rises. Dempsey notices too late what has happened. What are you doing? He snaps. Routine observation, Daniel replies calmly. Lily places one crutch inside the SUV. The second follows. Dempsey moves to close the door. Check. Daniel commands softly. Koda pivots and lowers his nose to the rear door seam of the vehicle. He inhales deeply once. Twice. Then his posture changes. Not aggressive. Alert. He emits a sharp, focused whine. Then scratches once at the lower edge of the door. Just once. Daniel's pulse tightens. That behavior is specific. Detection of a chemical scent, not human fear, not stress, chemical. The faint odor Daniel noticed earlier now registers stronger, sharp, artificial, like industrial cleaning solvent, or something used to mask other smells. Through the tinted window, Daniel leans slightly and angles his view past the headrest. Under the rear bench seat, partially hidden, he sees something else, straps. Child-sized restraint straps bolted into the seat frame. Not standard manufacturer equipment. Modified. Another layer, another clue. Dempsey's voice sharpens. We're leaving. Now he slams the rear door shut. Security looks uncertain again. Sir, if you're cleared, you can go, the supervisor says. The engine roars to life. Exhaust fills the stale air. Lily's face appears briefly through the tinted glass. Expression unreadable. Daniel steps forward instinctively. The SUV shifts into reverse, and Koda's body tenses at Daniel's side, waiting for the next command. The SUV rolls back half a foot, then stops abruptly. Lily's voice cuts through the engine noise from inside. Wait, it is not loud, but it is clear. Daniel steps forward immediately. Park, he orders sharply. Dempsey hesitates only a second before slamming the vehicle into park again. The rear passenger door swings open hard. He grabs Lily by the upper arm and shoves her back into the seat when she tries to shift toward the exit. I said get in, he growls. That is the moment. The line is crossed. Daniel closes the distance in 3 strides and plants himself in the open doorway. One hand braced against the frame. Collin County Sheriff's Office, he says firmly, voice no longer neutral. He pulls his credential wallet fully into view now. Badge and identification clear under the garage lights. Step away from the child. The security supervisor freezes, unsure which side to support. Dempsey's face changes. The performance mask drops. You're out of your jurisdiction. He snaps. Back off. Out of the vehicle. Daniel repeats evenly. Koda, guard. The German shepherd moves instantly. He positions himself at the open door threshold, body angled slightly inward. Front paws planted. Teeth visible now, but not snapping, not lunging. A silent wall of muscle and discipline. No bite, just presence. Lily presses herself against the seatback, crutches tangled near her knees. Her breathing accelerates again. Dempsey tries to pull the door inward to close it. Koda shifts half a step forward, blocking the swing without touching the man. A deep warning rumble vibrates from his chest. Controlled. Measured. "Call your dog off?" Dempsey shouts. "He hasn't touched you." Daniel replies. Dempsey's hand suddenly swings toward Daniel's shoulder in a fast, angry arc. Daniel pivots, deflecting the arm away without escalating into a full strike. That movement changes everything. Assault attempt, witnessed. Security gasps. "Step back," Daniel commands sharply now. "Koda, hold." The shepherd maintains position, eyes locked on Dempsey's hands, waiting for escalation. Dempsey's breathing is heavy now. No more performance. No more legal vocabulary. Just anger. "You're not taking her," he mutters under his breath. Daniel hears it clearly. "Out of the vehicle now?" Daniel says again. "Loader." Authority unmistakable. Lily's hand grips the seatbelt strap tightly. Dempsey shifts his weight slightly. Not toward the door. Toward the driver's seat. Toward something beneath it. Daniel sees the micro-movement. The glance downward. The shoulder dip. "Koda," Daniel warns softly. The shepherd's ears snap forward. Dempsey's right hand disappears under the front seat. Security steps back instinctively. The garage air feels electric. Daniel's voice drops into command mode. "Carl Dempsey. Remove your hand slowly." No response. Only the sound of fabric scraping against metal beneath the seat. Koda's body coils, not lunging, but ready. Daniel's pulse steadies instead of spikes. Training overrides adrenaline. "Last warning," he says clearly. Dempsey's hand begins to rise, still hidden, still holding something. And Daniel makes the split-second decision that will define the next move. "Koda," he says sharply, waiting for what emerges from beneath that seat. Dempsey's hand comes up fast from beneath the driver's seat. Not slowly, not compliant, fast. Daniel sees the flash of metal before he fully registers what it is. A heavy tire iron, short-handled, the kind kept under seats for roadside repairs. "Drop it," Daniel commands. Dempsey lunges instead. "Koda, hold," Daniel shouts, giving the final warning command that freezes the shepherd in place for one critical half-second. Dempsey swings the tire iron toward Daniel's shoulder in a tight arc. The threat is clear, immediate. "Violent take," Daniel commands. Koda launches with precision. No chaos, no wild snapping. He targets exactly as trained, forearm only. His jaws clamp onto Dempsey's right arm mid-swing, absorbing the momentum and redirecting the strike downward before it can connect. The tire iron clatters to the concrete. Dempsey roars in shock, not severe pain but sudden forceful interruption. "Out," Daniel commands immediately. Koda releases at once and repositions backward, still guarding, ready but not re-engaging. The entire bite lasts less than 2 seconds. Controlled. Necessary. Effective. Parking security is already shouting into radios. 911. Officer needs backup. Possible weapon involved. Dempsey drops to one knee, clutching his forearm. Blood is minimal, contained. The bite is firm but surgical. Daniel moves in swiftly, securing Dempsey's wrists behind his back and applying cuffs. "Stay down," Daniel orders. Koda stands beside them, eyes still locked on Dempsey's hands. Within minutes, sirens echo through the parking structure. Dallas police units arrive first, followed by county deputies notified through dispatch. Daniel steps back once Dempsey is secured and identifies himself formally to responding officers, handing over his credentials and explaining the sequence clearly. Body camera footage is reviewed immediately on scene. The attempted strike. The clear command. The controlled bite. Justified. Professional. Dempsey is placed on a stretcher for medical evaluation of the bite before transport. While officers secure the vehicle, Daniel turns his attention to Lily. She remains inside the SUV, frozen in place. "It's okay," Daniel says softly. "You're safe." She does not move at first. "Koda," Daniel says gently. The shepherd approaches the open door slowly, posture relaxed now. No tension. Lily's fingers reach out automatically toward the dog's fur. She holds on again. Dallas officers begin photographing the SUV interior. The partial license plate obstruction. The expired temporary tag. The modified restraint straps bolted beneath the rear bench seat. One officer requests a chemical swab kit for testing residue inside the rear door frame. Another officer confirms through dispatch the guardianship document presented is not registered in any state system. Forgery suspected. Daniel steps aside to speak with one of the responding sergeants. "There's more," he says quietly. "Prior custodial interference arrest out of Nevada. Dismissed for lack of witness." The sergeant nods grimly. Good stop. Back at the SUV, a female officer kneels beside Lily. Honey, is that man your uncle? Lily's eyes finally lift. She looks at Daniel. Then at Koda. Then back at the officer. No, she says clearly this time. He's not my uncle. The words land differently now. Not whispered. Not pressured. Stated. Witnessed. Documented. Officers retrieve the boarding passes from Dempsey's jacket pocket. Atlanta for Lily. Portland for Dempsey. Photographed. Logged. Evidence builds layer by layer. Once the immediate chaos settles, Daniel is asked for a full statement. He gives it calmly, professionally. Then the sergeant looks at him with mild curiosity. You said you're Collin County? Daniel nods. I head the K-9 Crimes Against Children Task Support Unit. The title changes the room. This was not random interference. This was training meeting instinct. The vehicle is towed and impounded pending forensic processing. Dempsey is formally arrested on charges of attempted kidnapping, forgery, expired registration, obstruction, and assault on a peace officer. As the stretcher rolls past, Dempsey avoids looking at Lily. Lily sits wrapped in a thin thermal blanket provided by EMS. Her crutches rest beside her. One officer has already called Child Protective Services for immediate protective custody evaluation. Koda approaches slowly and sits in front of her. Then, carefully, he lowers his head and rests his chin gently on her unbraced knee. The living leg. Not the prosthetic. Lily looks down at him. Did he know? She asks quietly. Daniel kneels beside her. He knew something wasn't right. Daniel says, Koda always knows when someone needs help. For the first time since Gate C12, Lily smiles. By nightfall, Lily Harper is no longer sitting in a parking garage. She is inside a pediatric wing under protective supervision. Child Protective Services responds within the hour. The forged guardianship document is formally rejected. No legal transfer was ever filed. No emergency custody order exists. Her mother's signature on the photocopy is confirmed fraudulent. Through coordinated calls between Texas authorities and Georgia Social Services, Lily's biological aunt in Savannah is located and contacted. Shock turns into urgency. The aunt confirms she has been trying to reach Lily's mother for days and had no knowledge of any travel arrangement. Protective custody is granted immediately pending interstate verification. Lily is safe. Back at the station, detectives expand the case. Dempsey's prior arrest in Nevada is reopened for review. Digital devices recovered from his vehicle are seized under warrant. The modified child restraint system documented in the SUV becomes central evidence. The chemical residue detected by Koda is submitted for forensic analysis. Dallas police notify federal partners due to possible multi-state activity. The airport authority issues an internal review. Boarding area supervision policies are updated. Gate agents are reminded to verify guardianship claims involving minors traveling with unrelated adults. Parking security updates escalation protocol when law enforcement flags custodial concerns. Small systemic changes. Quiet but meaningful. 2 days later, Daniel visits Lily at the hospital during her orthopedic evaluation. The prosthetic alignment issue is addressed by a specialist. Minor pressure irritation is treated. Nothing permanent, nothing irreversible. Daniel does not wear his uniform that day. Just a simple button-down shirt and jeans. Koda walks beside him on a loose lead, vest on but relaxed. When they enter the room, Lily is sitting upright on the exam bed. Her aunt is there now, protective, grateful. Lily's eyes brighten when she sees Koda. She says softly. Koda approaches slowly, tail low and steady. No sudden movement. Gentle. Daniel reminds quietly. The shepherd rests his head against the mattress edge. Lily reaches down and wraps her fingers carefully around Koda's collar. Not tight, just enough to feel solid fur and steady warmth. This time her smile is different, not forced, not cautious, real. You're going home soon, Daniel tells her. She nods. Her aunt squeezes her shoulder. Before leaving, Lily looks at Daniel one more time. Thank you for asking, she says. Daniel pauses at the doorway. It had started with a simple question. Is this seat taken? Sometimes protection does not begin with a siren or a shout. Sometimes it begins with noticing something others ignore. Sometimes protection begins with a simple question, and someone brave enough to notice the answer. Escalation map, approximately 230 words. Lily asks for an open seat at a crowded gate. Carl Dempsey blocks the seat and positions himself to trap her. Koda alerts silently with focused posture shift. Dempsey claims legal guardianship publicly. Daniel observes boarding pass mismatch between destinations. Dempsey redirects Lily away from gate toward parking garage. Dempsey stages fake child services phone call. Daniel notices expired temporary tag and partial plate obstruction. Dispatch confirms prior custodial interference arrest. Modified child restraint straps observed in SUV. Dempsey forcibly attempts to place Lily inside vehicle. Tire iron drawn and clear imminent threat established. Controlled canine bite executed and immediate release. Guardianship document confirmed forged. Lily states clearly he is not her uncle. Clues and payoffs approximately 350 words. Boarding pass mismatch planted in Part 2 when Daniel photographs Atlanta and Portland tickets. Confirmed in Part 8 during evidence processing. Lily's hesitation to answer planted in Part 1. Paid off in Part 8 when she clearly states he is not her uncle. Partial license plate obstruction planted in Part 4. Added as formal vehicle violation during arrest in Part 8. Destination contradiction planted in Part 3. Reinforces attempted deception in official report. Prior Nevada custodial interference arrest planted in Part 5. Used to justify deeper investigation post-arrest. Chemical odor alert planted in Part 6 through Koda's detection behavior. Submitted for forensic testing in Part 9. Modified restraint straps planted visually in Part 6. Photographed and logged as physical evidence in Part 8. Forged guardianship document introduced in Part 5. Officially invalidated during procedural confirmation in Part 8. Body camera timestamp logging planted in Part 3. Used to support lawful escalation and self-defense during review. Each clue builds logically, allowing the final takedown to rest on layered evidence rather than instinct alone. Dialogue moment bank, bully insults. You cops think you own the world. She can't even walk straight without me. Victim lines. I don't want to miss my bus. Please don't make him angry. Calm warnings. Step back and horn is visible. Release her arm now. Dog discipline commands. Koda, heel. Koda, guard. I supervise the Canine Crimes Against Children Task Support Unit. Moral. Real courage is paying attention when everyone else looks away.